Before I answer that, I feel like I need to first off explain how we've gotten from traditional banking to digital banking. And I'd like to start with a story. When I was in uni back then, I remember that I have to wait for my dad or maybe my parents to go to the branch to send me pocket money. There might be times where you might actually need that money so bad that you then have to wait for them because obviously they are busy working or something like that, or they have to send your siblings to go to the bank just to make sure that money gets into your account. And after that happens, what happens is you have to go to the bank again to fill a slip to withdraw that money. I'm sure if they had asked us back then or asked me back then that there will be a solution to help solve this, I'm waiting for mom or dad to send me money to be able to do something in school, I would have said, nah, I don't think so. But now the banking industry is ever evolving, and now you see that we're actually having a high adoption of fully digital bank. So in order to build a digital bank, first off, you have to. I'm going to focus on the three different pillars, so it helps you understand properly. People, process, technology, and I'll start with process. So first off, you know that you are trying to build a digital bank. You have to understand the compliance process around building that particular solution. So what that means is you are doing your research about compliance, reading the CBN, different CBN regulatory policies, ensuring that you have an idea of the license that you need to even be able to operate as a fully digital bank. I feel like that's one place to start from so that you avoid being sanctioned by CBN at the end of the day. It also helps you structure how to even go about it. In a case where you don't have a license, you can also choose to maybe leverage on people who provide past services, right? Banking as a service, all right. Leveraging on their license and helping you build a digital bank. So first off, in the process perspective, you need to know what you're trying to do. You need to understand the process and understand the regulation and compliance around it. Secondly, technology. You have to also know, okay, fine, this is what I'm trying to build. What kind of technology am I going to need? And more often than not, if you're trying to build a digital bank, you need to actually have a core banking system. So the question to ask is, do you want your core banking system to be on premise or on the cloud? However, on the cloud, solutions are very, very advisable because I mean it just provides flexibility and it's more affordable. So, from a technology perspective, you're asking yourself, what kind of technology do I want to use? Um, from a development perspective, what tech stack do I need to use to build this solution? Which of the technological approach is scalable, right? Because you also have to consider that you're a bank and you should actually predict that people would actually start using your platform and the volume would increase from time to time. So in building that, you need to focus on the technology as well. The people side of it is if you want to start a bank, in all honesty, you can't just say you want to build a digital bank without understanding the process or how the financial industry works. So it means you have to also look out for subject matter experts who actually understand the industry and understand how the banking operation works, right? So you don't find yourself trying to implement processes that would actually be faulty and make your system faulty and whatnot. Another thing you need to consider is the security. You need to actually consider what kind of security measures you need to put in place to ensure that the system is not easily broken into. Because you are being a digital bank, you are with people's money. You are also competing with banks who actually have that mind share and trust. So it means you need to ensure that you have like a proper security system. And in this case, that is where the people also comes in. Who do I need to ensure that I'm able to build a system with good security? So that is that part of it as well. Then to build as well, we all know how the industry is, and thank God for open banking. That's why you see a lot of people trying to are able to build different solutions, leveraging on that partnership. So you have to also consider partnership, the required third parties that you would need to be able to enable your system work. So for instance, if you want to do transfer today, you need to integrate to NIPS to be able to do NIP transfers. For bills payments, you need to integrate with certain providers to enable your customers to do bills payments. For a digital bank that doesn't really have license, you can also partner with some banks to actually help you generate customer account or virtual accounts. So you need to also understand the industry and the different third-party providers that you need to help integrate all these things together. So integrating it end to end, I'll paint a use case. I want to build a fintech, for instance, that enables people to save money. The first thing I think of is, oh, for me to be able to play in this role, what are the compliance rules that is expected to be met? be able to build this kind of solution. Once I read that, I pen them down and look, okay, which one am I able to cater for myself and how much will it cost me? If I see that, oh, this is very expensive or it will take time for me to get it, for instance, to get a CBN license might take time. Hence why you see some fintechs will start utilizing banks. So in this case, I might say, okay, you know what, since it might take time for me to get my license, let me start by partnering with a bank that can enable me create accounts and keep money. So that's why you notice people like maybe Piggyvest or some banks, you see that if you are sending money into those accounts, it is maybe from a Wema or a Providus. That's because at that point in time, they didn't have the license to hold money. They didn't have a microfinance bank license or a bank license. So in that case, they partnered to do that. But in a case where you already have a license, it's pretty much straightforward. They're just typically building your core banking system and enabling you actually offer financial services. The people identify who are the people I need to be able to build this fintech or build these digital products, identify the skill sets, right? And then work towards employing them. The technology consult such subject matter experts. They tell you what the technology you need is, and you're able to also incorporate that in building the system in itself. In quotes, a scalable system, because I mean you predict that you will grow in the next X number of years. The other part, what I mentioned, which is partnership, I think I already touched that, thinking about other people that you can partner with to enable your service work properly. So that is basically what you need in a nutshell to be able to build a digital bank today. Hmm. All right, thanks for that. The first one I'll start with is the introduction of biometric services. Today, like before, like I mentioned, the story I told, if you want to create an account, you need to actually go to a branch. You need to provide utility bills and different documents like that before you are then profiled. But now you've gotten to a scenario where in a state where you're able to create an account without having to go to a branch. We have different fintechs that offer those services today. Like you can create a CUDA account without having to go to a bank. Even a Revolut account, speaking of globally, a Revolut account can be created without you going to a bank. And what the biometric service, which is the innovation, what it does or what it has helped with is helping clear that compliance process because typically CBN mandates that if you are creating a maybe a tier one account, you need to actually have certain documents provided by the customer. So in that case, with a biometric service, what it enables us to do is we're able to embed all those manual process of submitting the documents, taking your pictures and whatnot. They're able to embed that into the onboarding process within the app. So I'd say that's one great innovation that's actually helping solve things in the financial industry today. Another is artificial intelligence, and it's been able to solve a lot of use cases, and I'll be mentioning some of them. One is helping you actually support your customers. One of those days where you have to wait for a customer call agent to be able to solve a problem or answer a question for you. People are now building AI bots that are able to help answer questions real time, interact with customers real time to actually solve their problem. Another thing also is that AI is helping businesses or financial industries understand the customer, spending pattern, and they're able to actually suggest different things to them in terms of what they actually. Okay, for instance, you want to buy. I've seen that you always buy data and stuff, right? Within the app, I can always display that to you, and I can always tell your most frequently purchased airtime and the amount. In that case, you don't need to start entering that again. You're just basically entering. So it simplifies the user experience. There are also, if you look back in the days, if you want to get loans, you have to go to the bank to get a loan. But now you don't need to do that because with the AI technology as well, people have been able to automate the entire loan process from origination to assessment all the way to disbursement. And what it does is it picks data from different touch points, analyzes it, is able to tell what your credit score is based on the data it has picked, able to scan your document and say, okay, look, this particular customer is eligible for this loan or not eligible for the loan. So with such solution, you've also been able to improve user experience across board. Another innovation is embedded finance. I was listening to a TED talk and he literally spoke about how Facebook has over, I think, 20 licenses from the United States government. And what they are trying to do is it enables customers transact within the app. He spoke about how Alibaba is able to enable transactions. You also have the ability to request for rides within the app. ability to shop within the app. Amazon also had like a student loan feature within their app. So embedded finance is also one new innovation. And imagine a world where you don't even need banks anymore because you're able to put money in different places where you know you can actually get value. I mean, we all know Alibaba to be maybe for shopping, or Facebook for networking, or WeChat for chatting. But now they've embedded finance into it, and it enables you to just transact, connect your wallet to the app, fund their wallets within the app, and transact. So that is also one thing. Another innovation is the blockchain or the Bitcoin, which I mean, I know it's not widely adopted in Nigeria, but blockchain and digital currency is also one thing that is growing. We are speaking globally here. Take for instance, I visited a mall in South Africa, and it was shocking for me to find a Bitcoin ATM. And I was like, Bitcoin ATM, how is it supposed to work? But it just shows how much these innovations are driving, financial inclusion and improving how people actually spend money. What you typically do with a machine like that is, imagine you have a Bitcoin wallet and stuff. You can actually, trade on that machine and then you get cash. That is a very interesting innovation that I feel like is actually driving growth within the industry. I mean, if any other example comes to mind, I'll mention it before the end. But these are like few ways that I feel like people are innovating around fintech and actually improving how people utilize or spend their money. So funny enough, I was discussing this with something similar with my friends yesterday, and we're talking about how we're able to cater for people in environments where the infrastructure is not that good. And I'm dividing infrastructure into two places here, like the infrastructure from the product perspective and infrastructure from the user perspective. So, how to solve for that? You need to first of all understand the various categories of users. For instance, in the remote areas, people they have bad network, and some of them don't even utilize smartphones. So in that case, you have to consider different ways like USSD or a lightweight application that can enable them actually utilize your solution, or actually helping them solve that problem. There are also solutions today that provides like offline transactions. I know there was one, I can't remember the name of the fintech now, but they are done something like that that enables that. So you have to first of all understand the environment, right? Different touch points, and then build different channels to actually cater for that. So for remote areas or rural areas, you actually build solutions like USSD channel to be able to do that. You think of having agents across board to enable them also access those financial services. From the product perspective, in a case where you have infrastructural challenges, the best way is to go cloud. Because I mean, it's very expensive investing in on-prem services, like buying all your VMs and whatnot. It is very expensive, which is why you notice most what's it called digital fintech companies today actually utilize cloud for their infrastructure. So that is also one way to ensure that you are able to push these services to people across board. Another way also to improve in terms of where the infrastructures is, I mean, the infrastructure is unavailable. I mean, for the clients or for your users, you can also ensure that you have a robust fraud prevention system to help them also understand, okay, this particular person doesn't perform this particular transaction. Why is this particular transaction happening? Or why is he engaging on this transaction? That's also one way of ensuring that, I mean, you're providing seamless service to your customers across board. But majorly, you need to understand the landscape that you play. You need to understand what the challenges are within that landscape in terms of utilizing those services from a product perspective and a customer perspective, and then build lightweight solutions to actually help them solve that problem. I'll give an example, right? In You see people like Safaricom building solutions like USSD, attaching their mobile phone number to their wallets. So what that means is that for a customer who doesn't necessarily have a device, is able to actually perform transactions by using that particular money. Somewhere in South Africa as well, they utilize e-wallets. Using e-wallets actually helps you transact without having to go to the bank. Someone can send the money to your account. What happens is an OTP is sent to that phone number, and you're able to transact or withdraw that money. So, from an infrastructural perspective, from the customer perspective, you need to understand the infrastructures. That infrastructure means maybe it can be the gadget or way they access your system from a customer perspective, and think of how to solve for them or what channel to utilize for them. And from a product perspective, you need to also look at the best infrastructure you can get. And typically, I advise going cloud, which is also one thing that we do at Core. We host our products on cloud, and we save people the cost of having to build solutions or host those solutions on-prem, because we fully understand how expensive it is to be on-prem and also to maintain on-prem services, which is why I would recommend that any fintech or anybody that wants to build digitally should actually go on cloud. Thank you. All right. So I'd say first thing first, and if you notice, when I was answering one of your questions, I said scalability. When building a solution, you need to actually learn how to scale, right? Which is, I think, something that we considered when we started building the core banking system. We understood that we are not just managing customers, we're managing our customers that also have customers. For instance, we have over 530 institutions today utilizing the core banking system, and each of them actually eat our system with volumes of transaction on a daily basis. So you can imagine a case where you just don't have one particular customer eating the system. Let me paint it into perspective. Imagine having 530 GTB banks utilizing a core banking system that's being hosted by Core. You can imagine how much volume of transactions are coming per time. So if we didn't incorporate scalability into the building process, I'm very sure you'd have or experience a lot of failed transactions and the system crashing. So first thing first is to actually predict, okay, how much or how do I see the system growing over time, right? And then have your technical guys think about how to scale the system and not just building something that cannot be scaled. The risk to that is that you find out that you might have to start rebuilding your system because you've not considered scalability. Another thing we've also considered is the operation side of things. So we have processes today that actually monitor transactions, monitor the system uptime, monitor different services and different clients, basically. So what that has done is, aside building a solution, there's also the customer part of it, right? If you're building a fintech, you shouldn't just think about, hey, I want to build this to just make money and have a product. No, you also have to think about how do you manage your customers, how do you ensure that they are getting the best out of your service, because at the end of the day, you are building for them. So we've also incorporated solutions that help us properly monitor and manage our customers so that whenever there's a downtime for a particular customer, we're able to tell even before they see that. So in that way, it makes us proactive enough to resolve their problem. I mean, that doesn't mean that there are not times where customers will come with us and say, this is what they're experiencing. But what we've done is we've mitigated the risk of not even being aware of anything. One other thing that we've also done is automating the feedback loop process, which is in a case where there's an issue, it's easy for us to also get feedback from customers and then resolve that issue real time. That's also one thing we've done. We've also considered automation within the system. So, for instance, we embedded a loan automation system into our core banking. We thought about it that, look, for someone to be able to issue loans, this is the process it takes them to do this. Why don't we cut down that process by integrating different systems together to ensure that, I mean, you can disburse a loan in less than 1 minute, as opposed to having to get different documents. So we embedded a loan assessment system, right, that assesses the customer and then tells you, based on the decision engine you've set, it tells you, okay, this is based on what you set, we can disburse this loan to this customer because it meets this criteria. So we've also thought of automation and embedded that into the core banking system itself. There was something else I wanted to say, but I just lost my train of thoughts on that. Okay, yeah, so this is it. One thing we've also done, or one lessons learned, is we were able to actually create a system where we help people go to market fast. It didn't start that way, but we figured that, look, we have different partners who do not necessarily understand the banking industry for some, who do not necessarily understand the technology behind it. And for some, it takes time for them to look for third party engagements. And if you recall, when I started how to build a digital bank, I mentioned you need to have third party or think of the third party guys that you need. So over time, we're able to discover our customers' pain points, which was it was difficult for some of them to go to market fast. So what we did was we integrated to different parties in the market in the industry today. So if you are getting our core banking system, you can literally go to market in a month, as opposed to you having to integrate to people. So it means go to market means you have a system, your users can do transfer, they can do bills payment, you have a mobile banking application, you have USSD in a month. So From the lessons learned over time, we're able to innovate around this as well. It didn't just start in one day. We're able to innovate around this and as well build a core banking system that enables people operate seamlessly. And that bit is security. We're able to also learn over time that there are certain security measures that need to be put in place to ensure that our customers' transactions are safe and we reduce the level of fraud. So, I mean, we have security experts internally that do their research day to day and then incorporate those improvements into the system to ensure that we have minimal fraud within the system. And that has been working very fine. There's also the compliance bits. Because we understand the system very well and the industry very well, we've also been able to implement compliance check when utilizing the system. So, as an institution, you don't even need to worry much about that because we already catered for that. So, all these lessons we've learned from understanding the industry and our users and then incorporating that, which is why today we have over 560 something institutions, 64 institutions utilizing the platform, helping them go to market seamlessly and I mean improving their user experience as well. So the first stuff, which is one I'm very, very particular about now because it's a project, right? That's what I actively driving now. So automation has actually helped improve fraud automation system or fraud detection system. We know how transactions and how vulnerable digital banks can be today. And having a proper fraud detection system would actually help you cross down a lot. So at Core, we're currently working on something that would actually help improve fraud detection system, which is where automation comes in by basically understanding the customer's transaction behavior, understanding their geolocation, understanding the kind of transactions they consummate, and the kind of beneficiaries they send money to. So with automation, we're able to use that data using machine learning to be able to tell if a particular transaction is fraudulent or not. So that is one bit. Then seamless onboarding. Like before, if you are, like I said, if you want to create an account, you have to go to the branch to do that. Or even when you start on your app, you have to continue the process in the bank because they need those KYC information. But now with automation, you are able to seamlessly onboard a customer without even them coming to the bank. I remember there was a time I wanted to create an account or even link my mobile banking application to my account in my mobile banking application. I was asked to come to the bank. They asked me for different details, my card details, this, input that, just because I wanted to onboard. For me, it was very stressful, right? And the introduction of fully digital banks like the Kudas, the Money Points, actually shows that this thing can actually be done without having to go to the branch. In that case, where automation comes in is at the point where I'm trying to onboard, I take a picture of myself, I provide details like my BVN, I input my authorized license, maybe your passport, your driver's license, your name's card. Once you input that, the system is able to actually read through the documents you provided, matching it with your BVN and seeing if everything matches. That is what automation does. Which is why sometimes if you're on board on some applications, you see for some of them it is real time, for some of them they'll tell you it is going through an approval process. At the back end, there's an automation that helps actually confirm all those documents you provided. In most cases, it doesn't even require a human to do that because they've already set the conditions on the back end. And once the conditions provided by the user, once the document provided by users meets those conditions, it then creates an account for that user. In some cases, it creates like a tier 3 account and you can improve that to upgrade that to tier 2 account or tier 1 account once the document has been validated, which is why automation actually helps improve that process in itself. In terms of personalized experience, automation improves personalized experience by first of telling what does this user really spend on. And then with that, is then able to recommend different things to you. So I can use an investment app for an example. Imagine you using an investment app or an app that has the investment feature or something. You can read maybe your transaction, read everything around and tell you, okay, why don't you invest in this? You have this money in this, why don't you do this? So today we built something around expense tracker that tracks your expenses and is able to also recommend things to you based on your expenses and what you spend on. The app is also intuitive enough to be able to tell Tolu mostly comes to this app to buy bills payments, or oh, he mostly sends money to this person. Whenever you want to send money, you just suggest the key, maybe first 5 people you send money to. That is personalized banking. It has personalized the experience for you. And in the case of embedded finance typically is where you have platforms like maybe WeChat, Alibaba, right, where there's actually a wallet leveraging on your system, on their own system, right? In the case of embedded finance, they're also able to personalize and say these are the things you can actually do at every point in time. So automation has also helped improve embedded finance, personalized user experience. And that bit is customer support. I mean, before, financial institutions invest a lot trying to, first off, employ customer experience officials. And this is from the bank's perspective. From the user perspective, you have to wait for minutes before someone answers you. You're on a call, you're like, these people are wasting my airtime. But now, automation has been able to improve that by providing automated or AI bots that you can actually chat with and they can actually provide answers to your questions real time. In this case, I didn't have to make a phone call. I didn't have to wait for 1 more minute. I didn't have to listen to the boring songs playing in the background. And I'm getting my problem solved real time. So that is also one way that automation has actually helped solve in that industry as well. So lastly is the lending decision. Before, I don't know if you have anyone that collects loan here or you've ever experienced requesting for a loan. There's a lot of process that you have to go through. And before you know, they'll tell you come back in the next 3 days, or okay, we'll have to go through the documents to do this, or before you get your loan. And imagine someone that needs a loan now. But with automation, we've been able to build a system which Core also has a system that does that today, leveraging on the automation and the machine learning and AI that we actually embedded to it. That helps you properly learn. It helps you disburse loan in no time because you've already created an automation to help the user. Submit your documents. Don't worry, submit your documents. Tell us about you, and then the system reads those things and tells if that person qualifies for that loan. So that is also a way that automation has actually improved banking experience today. I feel like I feel like the first hurdle is there are a lot of regulatory policies around it, and the commercial banks are very big on those things. So in a way, I feel this is my own opinion. In a way, I feel like it kind of like limits their innovation because there's always overthinking around how can we do this. Because I'm sure if you notice, most of these banks even had, for instance, banks were the first to get the agency banking license, commercial banks. GT floated theirs, Zenith floated theirs, First Bank as well. But guess what? When guys that thought about fully digitizing this thing and improving this thing came into the market, we didn't even notice that these banks that started had anything around agency banking. So I feel sometimes the overthinking the regulation sometimes limits the innovation. That's one thing I think. And secondly, the use of traditional systems and on-premise systems. So most of those systems are unable to actually to customize those systems takes time and it takes a lot of resource. So the use of some legacy systems actually limits how much they can innovate. You see cases where the banks are using like three different systems for three different purposes because you need this system to do the you have a core banking system, you have maybe another system managing loan, you have another system managing another bit, and they are integrating everything together. But fintechs are able to say, you know what, this is our use case. Let's build something that can actually cater for all these problems as opposed to taking them as distinct solution, which is one thing you notice across all the core banking system that fintechs use today. Even the core banking system we built as core that enables fintechs and banks, we have all the modules you literally need within one system. So it means you don't need to start doing different connections from different systems just to achieve that. So I feel like that is also one reason why banks are able to innovate fast. Another thing again is the fintechs have access to, I mean, just like every other bank, they have access to gamut of open APIs, right? And gamut of third parties they can integrate to. So it's also easier for them to actually build all these things and embed. Another thing again is specialization. You notice today that you see some fintechs will say, okay, look, I want to go into savings and investments. I want to go into full digital banking, or I want to go into insurance. In a way, those guys are specialized and they are focusing on that niche to actually cater for the customer need, and it's easy for them. But in a case for the bank, there are just several things that they are doing, and they might be wild winds that might not enable them, operate the way it should. One other thing I think is, and this is my own opinion, the focus on the business as usual. The tech guys are always thinking of like a typical fintech is built in the foundation of having tech guys. It's like a tech or a product led organization, meaning they're always thinking from a product perspective and it's easy for them to innovate. But from a bank, there is typically the day to day operations. And if you notice, now they've started improving anyways. You see banks floating out a different IT team to handle digital transformation and other things like that, which is why I feel like fintechs actually are ahead because they're able to think fast and look for ways to actually innovate. And they have a dedicated team that handles those innovations. So, in my own opinion, I think those are one of the things that actually limits, traditional banks today. How to solve them, for instance, from a core banking perspective, them getting a core banking solution, right, that is able to actually cater for all the use cases they have and they have the APIs, the required APIs to be able to develop those solutions. So, for instance, again, our core banking system as core, right? We have different APIs. If you get our core banking system, you are also entitled to get an API, like list of APIs that you can use to build your solution. But for some banks, they might need to start paying to build those APIs or building those APIs at that point. So it takes time for them to do that, as opposed to getting a solution that already provides all those things you need and helping you go to market fast. Okay, so I've not utilized robo advisory before, but looking at my understanding of how AI works, I feel like again, this is me thinking about how AI works and not how the system works. You should be able to, based on the metrics they set on the back end and based on what the machine is actually learning. Because the way these things work is when you feed them information, they are reading information from different perspectives and they are using set parameters to actually process those information. So if you ask me, I'll say yes. If they have a very, very good model, you should be able to actually tell you, okay, look, based on all these things, I feel like this is the area you should actually invest in. And what most of those particular solutions do is they will tell you the different parameters that they've considered if they want to be flexible enough. So it can tell you, okay, based on the current market trend, so and so, and based on the risk appetite you set, this is what it can be. So I'll speak from what we built. From what we built, we have a solution that you are able to set your risk appetite. You're able to set all those parameters as a user. So, meaning as a customer, you're able to set those things to say, this is my risk appetite. I want to invest in only I want to just do only low risk investments. This is the amount I want to put in. This is the maximum amount I want to lose. This is the minimum amount I want to lose. So if they have something that asks you to provide those parameters on the back end and it's configured, then it means that their model is able to actually analyze, be able to tell, okay, fine, based on what Ikena has provided, based on what he has configured as his risk appetite, the minimum amount he wants to lose or maximum amount he wants to lose, these are the kind of investment that he should do. So if he has those things as a parameter, then he should be able to solve that for you. But again, I have not used robo advisory before. Maybe after this session, I'll go and deep dive into it and I can answer your question more specifically. But for now, I've not used it. And the assumption is that if there's a parameter that can be set by you who is trying to get the advisory, then you should be able to actually give you good advice. Yes, this particular bit is just simply a notification system that is built by your engineers. The way it works is the system has gone through a KYC process and it's supposed to be an end goal, right? Which is maybe verified or failed or not verified. So your engineer should be able to build an existing system that can, after the verification has been done, based on what is being returned by the API service that you're calling. If it is a successful, you display to the customer that your account has been successfully created, yada yada yada, and whatnot. If it is denied, you should also be able to tell the customer that, oh, we're sorry, we cannot create accounts at this time as you did not provide XYZ. So denied should actually provide a reason why you actually denied the customer. So in a case where they need to maybe re-upload the document or take a picture in a brighter place, they're able to do that. So the automation should be able to do that if you have that last level communication to the app. Whenever you get a feedback from the automation system stating what the result of the KYC is. Is it successful? So and so document not provided or failed. I hope that answers your question. Oh, okay. So again, different environments with different peculiarities. From a digitization perspective, I think the best thing to do is to have a business case for why you actually want to digitize. The truth is, if you don't present it properly to the management, they won't actually approve it if they don't see that need. So, what I would typically advise or recommend is whenever you want to propose digitization across board, I think first off, you need to start with the problem, helping them understand the problem, and not just stating the problem as if you came up with the problem. No, try to engage your users, try to engage people in the industry, try to do industry research. Say, okay, look, this is what Bank A is doing, and this is type of project Bank A is doing, and this is how much it has helped them improve their this thing. How did you get that data? Oh, I discussed with some of their staff. I discussed with some of their customers, and this is their feedback. Bank B is also doing the same thing, and this is how it's been able to improve their experience. And this is the solution. This is the problem they solve for. Then you discuss with your customers and say, okay, from a problem perspective, I met with the business team or the CRM team, and they said that most of our customers are complaining about not being able to do X, Y, Z. With this solution, if we're able to do this solution, it would improve this 50% to improve our customer experience by so and so percent because we have tons of customers complain about the same thing. So in a case where you've proposed that, you also need to put what the expected outcome is. Expected outcome is to improve customer experience by so and so percent or lead to so and so increase in adoption of the app. However, it is just be able to measure that. Then present it to the business or the management to say, look, this is why I feel like we should digitize this. This is how much it will cost us. These are the alternative methods to achieve this. These are the short-term ways to achieve this, but this is the long-term way we want. In a case where you present in that manner, I feel like with data, you are able to convince anyone. But in a case where it comes from a like you make it seem like it's a gut feeling, from a gut feeling perspective, I don't think anybody will want to invest in that. You have to be able to provide a business case to why you feel like that digitization is necessary. I hope that answers the question. I mean, it works. Trust me, it works. Our needs are evolving and are evolving very, very quick. I feel like very soon we'll move to a state where people don't necessarily utilize traditional banks. They start utilizing feature banks. I see a world where people will start utilizing embedded finance more. So imagine a world where the moment you get your salary in a bank account, you're like, okay, this is what I typically spend on a daily. Maybe for shopping, you move the money to your shopping wallet. For utilities, you move it to a utility wallet. And you just keep spreading like that. For investment, move it to an investment wallet. So the world is evolving into adopting embedded finance in so many ways. So the guys that will be winning are guys that are able to properly provide a solution where you're able to create an ecosystem where if I have money here, I can literally use that money to do anything without having to move it from one place to the other. I feel like that's also one thing. Another remark is we should be very ready for how automation and artificial intelligence is going to improve our banking system today. I mean, one evident example is what we built at Core. We built Africa's first automated bot. And what it does is you specifically speak to it, maybe to a vending machine, or you join a virtual environment where you're like, I want to know my balance today. And it tells you. And the bot, you can also tell the bot to tell you what you've been spending on the most. You can tell the bot to tell you who was the last person I transferred money to. I mean, we're still training the bots to be able to cater for different use cases, but I also see a world where we're able to just pick up your phone. The same way you say, "Hey Siri, do this for me," you can just pick up your mobile banking application and like, "Oh, I need to send money to Kendi, for instance," and you mention Kendi's full name, and then you confirm, and it just provides the authentication, and then you're able to send money. So I think we should be ready for how artificial intelligence is going to improve banking experience. From the customer relationship perspective as well, we should also be ready for how that would also improve how we attend to customer service in the industry today. So, I mean, in whatever we do, however we build, let us always consider the end users, what their problem is, and how to also help them automate it and help them transact in the most seamless and simple way. Thank you.